10 o'clock here in Denmark, I guess also in Poland. And we're ready to start the discussion. So I created a couple of weeks ago talks or a conversation or a blog post on this AI topic, and I've wanted to have someone to go through this discussion. What is it that AI is going to mean for integration developers? At least what we know now. I know we had a conversation. I had a conversation with Nick, I don't know, 2-3 years ago on the topic of AI and what we could do there. And obviously things have evolved quite a bit since then. But rather, could you just, I'm not sure how many know you and what you're up to and what you've been doing.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Radosław Ruciński. I'm from Sygeon. We are working with SAP technology, and one of our jobs is to integrate systems. So we work with different integration platforms, and I think we have good overview what's possible using them and how AI is now affecting our work and what future might bring.
Cool. Yes, and yeah, I was going down visiting you and doing a presentation on one of your conferences, and the weekend before you published some of these ideas about what you had done in terms of AI, what you could do, stuff like that. It's like, okay, this makes it interesting. Let's see what we can actually talk about in this scenario. So that's why we figured out some of the different scenarios that's interesting, what can be done. And I think so we have a number of things we want to discuss, obviously also put in your ideas. I think so the first thing we want to cover is AI assisted iflow generation. And I know SAP have just updated their model. I haven't unfortunately been able to explore it and see what's possible in it. I don't know, did you try it or?
I have not. Unfortunately, none of our customers have access to premium edition.
Okay.
So I haven't tried yet. I just saw some demos, and yeah, it looks like it might speed up developers' work. But the question is if it really helps, or if it's just like, okay, showcase that we can do it with AI. And for me, it's not the part that really helps. I think, okay, we can generate some basic iflow, but then if you need to develop it using the building blocks, it will take 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. So yeah, the question is if we should use AI or maybe as developers to go through this process. Yeah, it's completely different story if you think about, let's say, business users who want some kind of automation. Then maybe building AI flows might help them, but yeah. I don't think in case of experienced SAP developers it will be a thing.
I think that is one of the. I guess this is one of my big turning points around this. Does it actually help, or is it just a new way to interact with it? You have created some ideas also on this iflow generation. If you could share that would be interesting to have to see what's possible in your landscape or what you've been exploring with.
Okay, I'll be happy to share. Just to let you know, we're working on a tool that we are using currently internally to see where these AI topics are really helpful in case of integration development. We tried different functionalities, different options. Text-based iflow generation is one of the functionalities, but I would say it is the least mature and tested one. So of course I can show you what's the idea, but I cannot promise it will work.
and I guess that was part of the thing that we also said, yes, it is okay that it doesn't work. It's much more fun to see some AI that doesn't work than see it that really works. Or yeah.
Okay,
So
just give
if
me,
it doesn't
give
work
me a sec.
today, it's all good.
Okay, so let me share my screen. And yeah. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the tool. As I said, we have different options now. One of them is to create and deploy the Iflow. So basically, the idea was to use the prompt from the user and to ask AI model with some instructions, context. Context is the most important part when working with this kind of tools. Context and the process, how we build it. So it's not like, okay, we need a single prompt and it will build a ready solution. What we do here, it's like the workflow under it. So we ask AI to generate the model, then to validate it, then to test it. So it takes a while. And even if we use several steps to do it, it doesn't always work, or sometimes it creates the BPMN model that is not working with cloud integration. So it's like, yeah, like the validation of the idea, not the working solution. But let's try with something simple, like receive HTTPS JSON request to test or the endpoint, convert it to, for example, XML, save in SFTP. Let's see if it will work. Optionally, we can upload groovy mapping. I think we'll talk about groovy mappings in detail. So once you have this groovy mapping that either you developed or generated with AI, you can use it here. And let's see. It might take like 1 minute, so we can we can continue and go back to it. Because yeah, as I said, there are.
And I think this is also what SAP in their vision have described. This is how you would create like text representation of it. Yes.
Okay, so it generated something, yeah, and sometimes it generates funny things like this connection from here. We might try to change it, like SFTP connection should be from end message to SFTP receiver. Let's see if it works. So basically, we use LLM for this with some context and instructions. Okay, it corrected it. So let's see.
And I think that that is the interesting part about being able to actually go in. You don't want to build everything in advance. You want to have this step-by-step approach, see what's creating, come with instructions. And I guess that's also how we've been working with generating normal text documents.
Mm-hmm. And based on my experiments, let's say it works with simple ones, but simple ones you can develop in few minutes.
Yeah.
With more advanced flows, it gets lost. So yeah, the question if it really helps, and I can imagine that in the end we can have a solution that will support even complex scenarios. But the question is how much effort will be needed to first develop this tool, and then how many tokens we'll use to achieve that. So finding a balance between the investment and the real time and money savings. Okay, so now it is connected to my trial account. Let's see what happens if we deploy it.
And obviously, if you have questions, comments, put them into the chat, and we'll see if we can cover those also. But you're just using a generic LLM model underneath here, right?
Yes, that's correct. We are thinking about using local models because currently we call the model via API. So that might be a concern for some customers. Okay, if we want something that maybe in this case, when we generate stuff based on the input, it will not be a case. But for example, I can show you later if we connect to the tenant to get some insights about the environment. It might be a problematic one for some customers to send the information about their landscape to public LLM. One of the solutions might be using the model hosted in BTP from AI Core. It might be a solution, but also we should look at the locally hosted models, and maybe not even LLM, but the small language models, like the ones that are trained for the specific case, where we want to generate BPMN model based on the input, and it does only this. So it could be also the direction that we should check and see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so first, what happened here? I think the metadata was lost.
Yeah. And I guess that is so obviously if you had trained it on a real and you had used the different models, this is what these different blocks looks like. This would probably have been a better result that you would be able to give it here.
Yeah, so that's one of the cases. Honestly, I wouldn't go into that direction. I see better use cases for AI for now, and then if we see that okay, we can think about how to really expand this option, then we will do it, because I think this application that I'm showing, which is currently hosted on my PC, will be available soon for some, let's say, preview. But I think we'll be focusing on these first two options, like interacting with CPI tenant and also building a mapping. So this is something that we can explore later.
Okay. Cool. Good demo. Yes. And obviously so when I was going through this, how I would actually build this, I was probably more going from the build, having some concrete, concrete iflows that you then would go and annotate and then use as documentation and use that as a way to train the model and say, okay, this is a good iflow. Here we have good error handling. Here we have whatever. And I think that's probably going to be the way you want to do it if you want to create really good content. But it does require you to have that, someone that annotates the models, right?
Apart from training the model or adding context to public models, one thing might be also having some, let's say, maybe templates, best practices, or similar integrations already developed in your tenant that you can at least partially reuse. So then in this flow that I presented, there will be a step, okay, we found similar scenarios, or we found a good one with error handling, or we found the one that already connects to your system. So let's reuse part of it and then develop the specific part you need. So that might be also the case. But
so customers would do these templates themselves and see, this is my S4 connection, this is my error handling to email, and then it will have that content and then be able to add that into the models once you get to
it. And it does not necessarily need to be like the template package. If you have a good MCP based solution that will go to your integration tenant, it might be able to collect what is really needed in this case based on the description, context, and what is in the tenant. I can show you later how we can interact with developed objects. I'm not sure if it's time to do it, or
I guess we should also go through but yeah, since we're on the documentation or whatever, what we have built, let's do that. Then we'll take mapping afterwards. So obviously, yes, getting this information is critical or useful in a lot of scenarios. I posted yesterday a blog post about what details do you want to query an LLM about when working with it, and what would make your life easier as an integration developer. There was some response about different documentation requirements that would be useful in that scenarios, linking iflows together. And I guess this is some of the things that you have been looking into.
You mean documentation to iflows or iflows to documentation?
Documentation of iflows, I guess.
Okay, so
documentation, I guess maybe it's more on the documentation of your tenant. What is it that you have running, right?
Okay, because then documentation might be helpful. We can also think about connecting our LLM-based solution to your knowledge base, like Confluence in the organization. So you will have better insights, and also it might work in both directions. So first you can retrieve the documentation when creating maybe not the iflow but the mapping. It might be a good case. And then if you have ready mapping, then you can just upload the documentation and then use it as a context for future developments. So you have everything connected in one tool that has connection to your tenant, has connection to your documentation, to specifications, and so on. So it might work as a full cycle.
That's actually a good idea, the part, because right now you are adding all this context about, at least when you worked on this model, you're saying, hey, we want to do this, we want to do this. That should probably just be in the Confluence page about, okay, so this is the process, and he was thinking about this when he added it, so maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah, and also for the governance, if you have different versions of the iflows and corresponding, let's say, Jira tickets, you can somehow connect it and document changes, or ask the model if what was the last change and why it broke my iflow. So
we do have that comparison in Figaf, and I guess that. So we do have the version comparison in Figaf, so we can see what has been changed in an iflow during, and we can link it with Jira tickets and stuff like that. So you do have that history, but I guess it's also about, and I guess this brings back to this topic of AI. Is it just a different UI you're looking for that you can access on your mobile phone, or in a different way, or what is it actually the purpose of this?
Yeah, I think it's time saving. I think it's the main goal, because once we have it in one place, even if we connect Figaf via API, I assume you have some kind of API in Figaf, it can be also connected via MCP to the tool. So you have some insights from Figaf, you have some insights from the tenant. You can just mix it and create the answers to the user, like for example, okay, what and why has been changed, and what's the impact for my integration. LLMs are good in this kind of stuff, but we need to fuel them with data.
Yeah. Mohammed, what are you specifically looking for? Yeah, well, just a question. But you created something based on my exam or questions yesterday. Could you show on querying this, or should we go with the?
So I should show something, right?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe shall we start with how to build a mapping based on the.
Let's talk about mappings. Yes, obviously mappings is critical. You had a good demo I saw last time about adding this context also as a, not like as a full do this full mapping, but do it in stepwise, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah, because the main problem that we see also in our team, when developers try to use LLMs on their own, they upload everything they have to ChatGPT, for example. Yeah, the question if they should, and then some output is generated. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. Sometimes it requires a lot of effort to make it working. So if we split it into individual steps, like the workflow with some AI interactions and user interactions, because I think that for the time being we need to have a human in the loop. So it won't be wise to build workflows where AI is responsible for all the steps, including validation, testing, adjusting the solution, because once it starts to hallucinate, then the next step will add another part of hallucinations, and then it will exponentially grow, and we'll have a solution that is not what we intended. Okay, but let's see about the mapping. So I have a very simple one. So let's assume that we have a XML file with IDOC. We have some simple Excel with simple mapping. That's basically what you usually receive from functional consultants or business
If
users.
you're lucky.
Yeah. and some, let's say, Word documentation.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, we have simple JSON. So let's see how we can use.
This looks like some Salesforce.
Yeah, it's Salesforce, because the event that Daniel was attending was about SAP and Salesforce. So that's the case that I was also presenting during our event in Warsaw 2 weeks ago. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. I'll just type like, okay, I have SAP IDOC. I will put here the specification and the sample XML, and then with this information and of course some context. Oh, what happened? Okay, it stopped working. Why is that? Okay, let me refresh this window. Let's try again. Okay, it could be that I have some files open, and sometimes OneDrive is blocking access to files. Hope it's that. Okay, yeah, it did not have access to the files on my local drive because OneDrive was blocking them. Okay, and we have some summary what we found in these messages, and I think this part might be the most important part for the integration developers, because usually, as you said, Daniel, we do not have the full picture, full specification. We have some examples, some outdated documentation, and the most challenging task for the developer is to go through it and to build the structure that can be used in the mapping that contains 150 fields. It will take, like, I don't know, 3 days, and also this person can make some mistakes. In this case, it goes through the files. It proposes what is the structure that we found, and then we can work with this either by downloading and uploading the schema file. We intentionally use it as a JSON schema here, just for the POC, let's say, because currently this tool supports, let's say, the limited flow. We assume that the mapping is done from JSON to JSON, and we are able to generate in the end the groovy script. But
JSON IDOCs.
Sorry?
JSON IDOCs.
Yeah. JSON IDOCs. It might sound a bit exotic, but but I think that the first time I saw this was like 5 years ago when I was mapping IDOCs in MuleSoft. So for me, it's like, okay, JSON representation of the IDOCs, but of course we can have here the actual XML schema, and then to map XML to JSON or whatever we want. It's just to show you that, okay, this is the flow, and it might look like that. We can interact it with this structure using also prompts. So, for example, something like, let's add company code to. Let's see if it will know what's the technical name of the company code. Yeah, it's new.
Okay.
So that's also the thing that I was showing during our event, and what's the nightmare of the integration developers that do not know SAP backend well. So you do not know all these German abbreviations of the fields that are in the.
But anyway, no matter if it is IDOCs or something else, there is a lot of context that is being put into this.
Yeah. So once you add this context, for example, with your documentation or with generally available documentation in the internet, of course, we can add something like, okay, now please find all the relevant information in the internet that might help us. Could be also, normally you do it manually. Now it can be done within a few steps.
And obviously, for an IDOC or something else, ideally you could go in and document all of this in one go in advance, or as a shared repository. Maybe use the mix and max or mix content, also have a lot of relevant content in that. I'm not sure if it should at least have the content about this.
Yeah, and also for all the EDI scenarios, all the information you need is usually in the documentation. It is on the internet. You probably already have some scenarios developed, and you have this new customer who wants the standard message with non-standard content, and you need to map it. So it might be also another case for B2B integrations. Okay, for the outbound part, I have only sample JSON. Yeah, it analyzes it. It will propose the structure, but let's add a company code field, as we did for the IDOC part. Yeah, and interesting thing here, if you work with Salesforce, you know that all the custom fields have this suffix __C. So yeah, basically the model knows that, because it already seen the mappings that are between Salesforce. So yeah, we can go to the mapping step. I will upload here just my Excel file and also put a comment to specification plus remember about company code field. Let's see if it will remember. Yeah, it mapped it.
Okay.
So here we have let's say visualization of the intermediate mapping that we use for our workflow, and based on that, and of course we can change it here, like do not map status. Yeah, it just removed the mapping. And once we have this, we can go to the XLCT mapping. I mean, not now, but in the future it will be possible, or to generate the standard mapping. And the standard graphical mapping is the most tricky one. But still possible. Generating groovy scripts honestly was the easiest part to achieve it. So now let's generate.
But how complex mappings can you do? Can you do this thing about, is this a filter? Is there something around these things?
With groovy script, we can create really complex mappings, and usually it works. Let me download the script and see if the deploy is working or not. Okay, it didn't work this time. So let's find the Groovy IDE to test it. And yeah. So where's my script? It's here. And here I have the JSON IDOC. Yeah, and yeah, fingers crossed, it worked. Cool. And it did not map the company code because yeah, it was not in my sample, but we can add it. I'm not even sure if company code normally appears in this segment, but yeah, okay, just to show you it's working. So I think this flow is the most promising one for the developers, because it really saves your time in the beginning, all the analysis you need to perform to manually create the artifacts, like structure, then mapping. And once you have it, creating the Iflow, even the, let's say, one with medium complexity, it will not take that long, especially if you have some templates. So yeah, this is the case that we'll be exploring further, and yeah, probably in near future sharing it with our customers and people who want to test it and play with it.
Cool. But yeah, it's interesting to see a different mapping technique. I think this, and obviously having this flow makes it a lot easier to work with. We also built something to try this vibe coding scenarios as a part of our tool, and I think it does make, there's a lot of areas where this makes sense. So here we just see the Figaf tool. I have an Iflow here, or script, an Iflow with a script in. I can go in and I can then take a test case I've created here, or so we can obviously reuse the test case we have. We can go in and say to improve the scripts. So what happens is that, let's see, we can go in and run it. We can see, does it produce the same result as we would expect it to do? So it seems like it is pretty okay here. We can go in and we can take the input payload, minimized, and then do our different chats in here. So I extract the whatever one of the field, the order ID. And so our idea is this thing that you should be using sample payloads. It's also for migration scenarios where you can go in and say, yes, we have input and output messages. We can use them when working on this. And then our main focus is we want to be able to run this easily on the integration suite, preserving the context and the chats and stuff like that. So it is, this seems a bit overkill, but let's see if it works. So it sets the properties of all these joins. We get an error that we need to fix this. Let's see here. So we're getting this error. I'm not sure this is the right way to solve this problem. And I guess this brings why maybe the generic models is probably a little overkill or underkill. Let's see if it works now. No, same error or a new line, something like that. But this obviously, it is about how you can prompt this, and you should have some better structures. I think you should probably not use the XPath model. There's probably different ways you can go in and work on these scenarios. Good. So that was our approach for this. We plug in an OpenAI key. I guess here I was just using the Model 4, but we also support Model 5, which is a little better. So maybe that would have given a better result. But I do think that the main focus here is being able to trigger, process, get feedback quickly, be able to improve the code. And obviously, so I do think your solution have the better ability to do all the context that you're adding, because it's a lot about adding context into a mapping to do it right. It's not that often you go in and need to do it in a specific way. Maybe there's a better framework that you should be using when working on these things.
Yeah, but also now I see another option that might be worth exploring. Once we have some artifacts created with AI, why not ask AI to test them and then to self-fix it, like in the loop, providing the test messages, and maybe even AI can create some test cases that the user won't think about, just to make the process more bulletproof. It's like, okay, it might do a lot. I can see the potential, but yeah, it will require multiple steps, also some guardrails and some context, plus looping through it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
like I guess Gwen has a good point here about it should read our mind.
Yeah, it's actually does it.
So I guess there's a question about the AI model and access to tenants and security aspects. I think that is one of the big questions. So we do provide this Figaf bot. We are just calling OpenAI in it, and then we got, but we have this our own build AI around these things, and we want to use that, and that's company policies. It's like maybe it is SAP's what is it they call the AI foundation or whatever models that you would be using for this, which then adds up an extra complexity. Maybe if you run it as a service provider, it may be okay, but for running this AI models for all companies, maybe a little of a challenge, right?
That's the interesting question that we have. If it's worth creating groovy script for simple mappings, I think in some cases it might be worth. I also heard about one big customer who has integration suite, and their policy is that we create only groovy scripts for mapping. We do not use graphical mapping. For them, in terms of governance and also the experience that their team has with scripting, it's a better way. So they do not use graphical mappings at all. So I think it might be even possible to say, okay, we use groovy scripts for all cases.
I guess then you get into a political discussion or whatever.
Okay, sorry for that.
I think the XSLT is a better option. It's easier to read, obviously, with the requirements that you have. But I think XSLT gives you something that is easier readable than groovy scripts. But obviously, there's limitations with Groovy scripts that you don't have, or with XSLT, you just have fairly simple logic. If you want to do more complex date manipulation, stuff like that, it just becomes complex, and you should probably move those things out to a Groovy script.
Yeah. And another question. Do we go through the questions now, or what's?
I think we're over what we're covering. I guess the part we have about is the MCP APIs, how we should cover those things.
Okay, yeah. I can show you some ideas about the MCP if we still have time.
Yeah, sure.
And just to answer the question about if it supports enhancing modifying existing Iflow, not yet, but it won't be that complicated to develop it. So we just retrieve the BPMN model from the tenant, we modify it, and we just deploy it again. Okay, so maybe let me quickly show you something about how we can develop the MCP that connects to our tenant and how we can interact with it. I think that might be the interesting part, and also for people who saw the post from Daniel yesterday about what would you like to ask your CPI tenant. we can do it. So let me. Okay, so like the simple ones. Let's start with the really simple one, list packages. So what it does in the background, it goes to the API that lists packages, retrieves the response, and then with use of LLM, it creates a list. Another would be what are the objects in. Okay, we have some flows. Before we go to more detailed working with the iFlows, we can also ask about some monitoring data and insights, like for example. Okay, so let me maybe just paste the questions. Okay, like 5 top iFlows within last 44 hours. We see these are the iFlows.
And you suddenly see it's a trial tenant.
Sorry?
And you see it's a trial tenant.
Yeah. It's and honestly, before our meeting, I had to fire some messages from Postman to have something. Also the ones with errors, if we ask about the problematic ones. But let's take one of the flows and ask the model explain this iFlow. It will take a while. I think it will be like 30 seconds maybe. Let me check in the console if it didn't crash. Yeah, it's still collecting data, and now it's asking LLM for the description, what it does. Okay, so basically we unpacked the iFlow, we took the BPMN model, we sent it to LLM, and of course with some context asks, okay, what it does. So maybe funny thing that we can do, having this description, we can go to the other tool that I was showing you and see what it can do with the description that we retrieved from the existing iFlow. See if it will manage to recreate it, and probably not. But let's see. Okay,
Cameron. Yeah. So I guess that this is
Okay. Okay. Forget about it. Let's go back here.
I guess this is also about the reliability of this. So we saw there was another guy playing with MCP, which makes sense, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. I think there's 2 different MCPs also out there, open source, that you can explore. But I do think generally the challenge with a lot of these is that you need to call the API, the integration suite API, then you need to upload this content into the LMM, and then you'll be able to do queries based on that. And I think that's a little of a challenge with these things. So it's something about how do you actually scale beyond the whatever 50 iflows or whatever is possible.
Am I still sharing?
Yep.
Okay, because yeah, in the meantime, I tried like the where used option. So what it did, it downloaded all the iflows from the package, and it analyzed the content. So here we can see what's the output. It really found the flow with JMSQ. So we asked about the content of the flow with let's say the text prompt. We can make it more complex, like list all HTTP endpoints in. Let's see if this one works.
So that would require 2 API calls.
At least one API call for the package, and then to go through all flows. But yeah, it worked. It's
pretty good.
It listed the endpoints for both inbound and outbound. And this one is my request bin. I use usual for testing. So yeah,
actually we have a proposal for using mocking services where you can actually use the integration suite. So I have a package that I can actually I'll be sharing, where you, instead of using Pipedream or whatever you are using for mock service, you can just use the integration suite, set up different endpoints in it, and use that and see what it's proposing there.
Yeah, it's also interesting.
Cool. Yes. So where do you have an MCP in this case, or how's that deployed?
Yeah. There's Python layer that connects to API, and it interacts with both LLM. In this case, is Gemini, and with API. So we use this let's say functions, and also the main concern is like, okay, we have a LLM connected to our tenant, and it raises some security questions. But with this architecture, it's not that the tool has access to everything. It has access to only what is developed in the backend. So, for example, if I ask what is the API key you use, probably, I hope it should answer that. I cannot tell you that.
Should we just stop the screen sharing?
Okay, and what it did, it's revealed its identity, saying that it's the model trained by Google. So yeah, it's, if you think about this architecture, it's I would say secure.
Okay. But I guess then one other topic on that, the role-based access, about being able to work with, and right now it's only viewing data, and I guess that's a little easier. If you wanted to go into the more about, okay, let's use the MCP to do something, actions, on deploy our flows, stuff like that, you needed to have this authentication layer above and say, okay, these users or these roles are able to do these actions.
Yes, and this is something you should normally check on the backend level. So at the very bottom, you have these API calls, and before you allow your MCP to call the API, you check authorizations for the logged in user. Yeah. So yeah, that's very important part. You need to think about it when building such tools. But generally, you can You can limit it, and you should at this lower level for calling the actual API.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Mohammed has a question also about whether or not you could draw a design in Draw.io and create some flows around this. In UFI, I think some of the early demos you could make these hand drawing flows and use those to build UI5 application. And I think that was some of the first demos we saw on this topics. And I think that's interesting, but I guess it shouldn't be too. Well, I don't know. It should probably be possible. Yeah,
it is possible, and I could try vibe coding it now, but we only have
I guess we are almost out of time. But
it should be possible, but still with this kind of functionalities, we should remember that it cannot be in one step. So first we translate this drawing or the schema to something that our model can understand. I mean our workflow. Then we propose something, then user validates it, then applies some changes. But yes, it could be good direction.
Yeah. I guess does it list the security artifacts?
Do I have any? Generally, I don't use them in trial. Maybe I have some pipeline packages deployed. But let's say if there are any security materials. It should work like that, because it gathers all the Iflow source code and then just goes through it, and if there is something that looks like there are no security materials.
But it should be pretty easy to link with the list of security artifacts that you should be able to see in that perspective. Cool. Any questions we didn't get around to answer? Thanks for a lot of good questions. I guess, if the tool support enhance existing Iflow, I guess yours is not there yet. I guess that also depends on how you're going to enhance that. There was a question here about the AI adapter for integration suite and how business users can use that. I think that I guess this is more into what are they. So Morten shared a video where it's like getting a sentiment. Obviously, you should know what is possible to get back. It shouldn't be just anything, but obviously something about enriching data, maybe calling an MCP that gets some extra data around what is being questioned about, and filtering extra content in that perspective. The big question: are we going to be unemployable? Is the business going to be able to just ask for an Iflow or ask for an integration in the next 5 years?
I don't think so. Maybe, I can't say about 5 years, but for next 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't say. So we will still need developers and architects. Maybe it will be harder to become a junior integration developer, because what normally junior developers do, it can be replaced with AI. That's unfortunately the truth. But we'll still need senior developers and architects to design secure and working scenarios, and then they might see some acceleration within the process for building some parts of the flows, like the mapping. So generally I would say that these AI-based tools currently are designed for people who can develop something on their own, but they want to do it faster and maybe with less mistakes, like copy pasting the structure from PDF to access the structure. So
yeah, and when it becomes more profitable for businesses, will it be cheaper for yeah. So if you're spending a lot of money on training the AIs and stuff like that, how's that going to impact these scenarios, and when are we going to be extended? But I guess there's a couple of years more at least for this. So that's good. But I guess you still need all the frameworks around. You still need to have the practices, the policies. How do we build? How do we manage these things? Is going to be
and also it depends on what you really need as organization, because if you need let's say the integration platform that enables you to create APIs, to manage APIs, to create B2B connections and so on, it won't be possible with AI itself for the business users. There are too many layers, too many nuances, too many things you need to consider in terms of security.
And I guess that's the part we're seeing when they don't even are able to describe their full mapping potential. What is it that they actually are looking for? That's normally an integration developer's job to go and figure out, querying sources, interviewing, stuff like that.
But on the other hand, you have automation tools like Zappier, for example, where business users can build some simple automations like, okay, take files from my Google Sheet and take records from my Google Sheet and then post them to Salesforce. It is something that you can easily build, either using the UI or maybe using the AI prompts. It should be possible. It is possible. But then with these platforms, there are some problems. They should not be considered as the integration platforms for the enterprises, because, for example, in Zappier you cannot build APIs. Okay, you can use webhook, but you cannot send back the custom response. So it's like, okay, we can receive webhooks, process them, but it's not like the API.
But it is obviously an interesting perspective. How do we? Oh, what is it that is possible without coding? So I'm using Zappier also myself. For a lot of scenarios, it's like 2 minutes or 5 minutes to create an integration. Whereas if I were to use it in Integration Suite, it will take me a couple of days to do it because of all this authentication, that where you just say, yes, I want to click to LinkedIn and get my LinkedIn details in. That's simplified in that process.
And then I think we should not forget about the good old machine learning stuff that can help with monitoring, for example. Finding some anomalies and so on. This is something that SAP did with API management. I'm not sure if anyone is really using it, but it could be also the direction.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for a good conversation. I hope you enjoyed it all. This was definitely interesting and good to get all of your inputs, feedbacks. Maybe I'll do another session at some point in time, because this is really interesting. We got a lot of good stuff here. Anything we forgot? Otherwise, I will post this on YouTube, put a link in LinkedIn, and then let's see what comes up. Good. Thanks, Radek.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
Good. Thank you for attending, and let's stop the recording.